Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Jazz is Not What You Think, the podcast that delves deep into the world of jazz with your host, Michael Fagan. In this episode of Jazz is Not What You Think, Michael interviews Eunmi Lee, a fearless Korean jazz pianist, composer, and educator based in the vibrant music scene of New York City. But before we dive in, we'd like to give a shout out to the sponsor of this episode, the Jazziz Vinyl Club. Picture this, jazz aficionados. As a member of the Jazziz Vinyl Club, you'll receive not one, not two, but 4 premium edition 180-gram vinyl albums carefully curated by the Jazziz editors. These albums feature tracks from jazz legends and today's top artists handpicked just for you. And here's the cherry on top. These vinyl gems will be delivered to your doorstep 4 times a year. It's like Christmas for jazz lovers all year round. But wait, there's more. Each vinyl album comes complete with liner notes penned by Jazziz writers, offering you a deeper dive into the music and the artists behind it. And let's not forget the custom design album cover that makes these vinyl albums true collector's items. So if you're ready to enrich your jazz collection with the finest tunes and exclusive vinyls, look no further than the Jazziz Vinyl Club. It's the club where music lovers and vinyl enthusiasts unite. This is Jazz Is Not What You Think. Hello, Eunmi. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Well, great to have you on the show. I've been very much enjoying your album.
Thanks a lot.
It is, I'm going to jump right into it. Women band leader. I find that phenomenal, especially with the kind of music you're doing. It harkens back to like the days of Toshiko Kiyoshi with big band, and yet you do it in many different ways, not just big band. I love the strings. Everything you have on this album is just so well done, and I really enjoyed it. I know that you studied at NYU.
Correct, right.
Under Dave Pietro.
Yes, right.
Now, Dave and I go back about 30 years.
Oh.
30 years ago, Dave entered a talent search, a competition.
All right.
At Jazziz magazine. And the judges for the competition were Michael Brecker,
right.
David Murray,
yeah,
and Eddie Daniels.
Wow.
And he was one of the winners. And I got to meet him back then. We've not been in touch forever, but when I saw his name that you studied under him, I was like, well, there's someone who I haven't talked to in years. So please send Dave my regards.
Yes, I will do that. He really helped me a lot to make the record, actually. He encouraged me making the album, and he told me lots of good tips about that and many things. We talked about my liner note as well.
Oh, wow.
He said it's very personal but very nice. And he said he's sure I'm in New York jazz music scene if I release my album. So
yes, well, you definitely arrived on the scene with a nice splash. It's a wonderful record. What I wanted to ask you, and I mentioned to you when we were communicating via email, is the concept of being a woman band leader. I've talked to many band leaders for this special issue that Jazziz is coming out with, really focusing on women leaders. And what I found through my journey as a man is that for years we would every year come out with a women's issue, and we dedicate the entire issue to women. And after a while, my editors were, do we really need to keep doing this? We cover women all the time in every issue. And what it reminded me is that unless we focus on women out there, musicians out there, regardless of male or female, what we will find. And so what I found through this process is you and dozens of other talented artists, because I intentionally went to look for great women players. Now, arguably all the time, as a media property, we're always looking for very talented people to showcase, highlight, present.
Yeah.
In this issue, they also happen to be women. And what I found was quite fascinating, and that is there are so many incredibly talented women around the world that unless
Yes.
we take an effort like this, may go unnoticed. Now, of course, we all know the popular artists that happen to be women,
Yeah.
but in this day and age, with digital media, our access to YouTube, the internet, um, we're finding an amazing number of talented people,
Right.
irrespective of gender, in places that we never even heard of. I mean,
Mm.
small villages in China and Serbia and in the UK in small towns, and it's a really interesting time to discover artists, and that's what I wanted to ask you. And you sent me a beautiful email about it, and that is, um, how has your journey been as a woman, as a leader, as a band leader? What trials and tribulations have you experienced that maybe made you had to work a little bit harder to get noticed?
Mm. Uh, Fortunately, I have no experience uncomfortable with the gender issue in jazz music. Um, Maybe that's the natural thing for me because there is always sound. I eager to what is the music, what is the sound, what I want.
Yeah,
That's the more important thing. So I just focused on that issue, not issue. I just want to focus on that my uh, my dream or sound and talked about many mentors, professors, or many colleagues with to play jazz. There is only for the sound. No one talked about gender or race, something like that. We just talked about only for music. That power, that point makes me more uh, get more. I want to really play jazz
right.
because at that moment there is only for one one thing, that is to make something better in one kind of uh, make our goal. So at the moment we forget about we are different race or different color, different gender. There is only for sound. That's why I mentioned about that. I
Great.
think it's very lucky for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there is some issue for the gender in jazz or many art in as a woman. I know that, but in my generation or just personal my experience, there is no difficulty for that. Fortunately.
That's great. So let's talk about the music, since that is the center of your focus, which is great.
Okay.
Um, Mr. Weird, does the title mean anything?
That's the everyone, you know. Uh, I live in Manhattan, very nearby Washington Square Park. That's my favorite place to rest, walking a little bit, observation people, looking at the people. There are a lot of weird people in there. I mean, sometimes I was very angry or I was very sad sometimes because of my ego or something like that. And I was sitting in there too seriously. But someone looking at me, there is no problem, right? Or something they think about me, oh, there is a weird woman cry alone, something like that. But it happened together,
Yeah.
each other. So I think, oh, that's the funny, interesting thing, looking at each other. So I made that title, Mr. Weird, and make the melody for that, and then arrange big band
Yeah.
song.
It's a beautiful composition. Your playing on it is Wonderful.
Oh, thanks a lot.
It's one of these kind of like Miles Davis used to say, it's not about playing a lot of notes. It's about putting the right notes and have the spaces between the notes.
Oh,
And you do that beautifully on the album in general, but on that song, there's this one part where just how you hit the notes on the piano at the right time, leaving enough space, it just makes you feel good. It actually it reminded me of that old cliche. It don't mean a thing,
yeah.
because at that moment you hear it, and even if you don't think you understand swing,
Mm.
you get it right then.
Oh, that's
And
the big compliment. Thank you.
that's just beautifully done. Beautifully done. It's a great album in general, and I'm going to be listening to it for a while. So, do you stay at NYU? Are you still doing teaching or anything, or how's that?
Uh, 1 year ago, I already graduated the master program. So now
And
just,
now you're out. Now you're a
yeah,
professional.
yes, I want to be.
And I saw you won a bunch of different competitions. Like your mentor won the Jazziz competition. But now that you're a professional, is the live circuit, recording music. Um, are you what are you looking to do now? What's your next
I'm thinking
journey?
about, yes, I'm thinking about my next journey. I want to make a recording on my trio, piano trio.
Okay,
That's my first goal because introspection is kind of my inner observation by using composition. That is more focused on the composition. So I want to show my own feeling by using trio. That's my first goal. And second is big band album. It is not will be soon, but maybe in 2 year or 3 year, I hope I will make the big band album by using my own composition.
that's great. So, are all the compositions on Introspection you wrote?
Yes.
Fantastic. Really, I mean, some of them I can still hear, which when that happens, you know that you wrote a good song, right? I mean,
I
if
don't.
if you can
I don't.
hum it, if you can hum the tune,
I
then
I don't think so. I make great song. You know what I mean? I think I just want to more. To be honestly, how can I feel the music? How can I make the melody by using my emotion? By using my musical material? That is the thing. Yes. If you feel there is a good writing, I really appreciate about that.
well, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
So this is your first album here in the U.S.
Yes, debut album.
Now, when did you come over to the U.S.? Because I know you were born in Korea.
Yes, I came to New York in 2020, January 1st, for
Wow,
my
New
master
Year's.
degree.
Huh?
Yes,
And
I
and
didn't.
go ahead.
I didn't expect pandemic will be there.
All right, you came at
Yeah.
a tough time.
Yes, but that's really difficult. But it is definitely worth it
Yeah,
just to stay here, look at the situation in here. I feel more New York real face at that moment.
yeah.
So worth it.
So how? Tell me about the music scene, the jazz music scene in Korea.
Yeah, it's very interesting situation. I met Peter Bernstein uh, last in May because I got a big band competition awards. Peter Bernstein in there, he played my song, Mr. Weird.
Mister,
for
of
the
course he
yes,
did.
yes, for the competition. And we had great dinner together, and we talked about the Korean jazz scene. Peter was in there in Korea recently. He said it's very interesting because our audience is the young age. He said jazz is kind of new style, new big boom in Korea. How can I say?
So,
K-
are you saying that in Korea, there's kind of a new popularity in jazz with younger
yeah,
people?
yes, in these days, many interest in their curiosity in there. Sometimes I feel many young people Korean misunderstanding of the jazz sound,
Hmm.
but it's still good thing in there because there are many inquire, there are so many passion to listen to jazz in these days, I feel.
Sure, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. Now, is for musicians, for Korean musicians in Korea,
yeah,
is there an interest in the American jazz scene?
absolutely. Why not?
Yeah,
They always looking around U.S. jazz music scene and as well European jazz music scene.
yeah.
Yeah,
And because one of the things that I see this in not just in jazz, but I see that um, in other fields, whether it's medicine, jazz, auto industry, that Koreans have a lot of pride. They see what they like. Tell me if I'm wrong.
yeah,
And then they say, we want to do that and we want to do it very well. We want to do it we want to be good at it. There's a pride in it and just not doing it, but
Mm.
doing it well.
Yeah. And this is my personal opinion. Korean think make more their own thing,
Hmm.
another material as well,
Yeah,
cooking or another thing. So someday we will have our own Korean jazz music style. It's
yeah,
very soon, I think.
yeah, yeah. I have an identical twin brother, and he is a plastic surgeon, and he
Oh.
goes to Korea a lot and works with other plastic surgeons in Korea. And one of the things he tells me, he said, the Koreans are some of the best plastic surgeons in the world
Oh my God.
because they see what is being done and they, like you said, they want to make their own style, do it in a very unique and bring it up a notch, if you would. Just do it well. And he was so impressed with the caliber of
Yeah.
surgeons. And again, that's his field. That's what he knows in Korea.
Yes. If we want to make our own jazz or something, I think we need more healthy elements. We study about what is the original.
Hmm.
That's the important thing, I think. That's why I study jazz music as well. As a Korean, I want to express by myself. So that means I have to study about many cultural things. What is the origin from the jazz? So that is real important thing, I think.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So when do you think you're gonna make your trio album?
Uh,
And have you picked your other have you picked the bass and drums yet?
in my mind, there are some people, but I'm not sure they accept my suggestion. But
Well, let's make it happen right here. Tell
right here, oh my
Yeah,
God,
tell me who the dream trio is for you, and we'll send them this video.
my God. Actually, I'm very happy with Ari Honig on drums
Sure,
and bass, Matt Closey also. So
sure.
if we possible, I want to make my trio album with them.
It couldn't have picked two better. They're wonderful players.
Yeah, I know, definitely.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, I hope we can stay in touch and that I get to hear this album soon. In the meantime, I'm going to be listening to your latest project, Introspection, because it's a very, very enjoyable album to listen to over and over again.
Thank you so much.
And it was
Thanks a
great
lot.
to meet you.
I also great to meet you, and thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right. Have a great
Thank
day.
you very much. You
Bye
too.
bye.